All right, it seems that they're having technical difficulties, and I suggest that we continue with the jurors who are present here, and that we have a decision rule of 8 jurors out of the 10 who are deliberating. Your Honor, Your Honor.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Is that agreeable to the court?
It's agreeable to the court.
All right.
So we're still saying 8 out of 10 is what we need?
Correct.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Please continue. Thank you.
Go ahead and start.
Thank you.
Okay.
You wanna elect?
I'll kick it off. Who thinks they would be a good foreman? 21, would you like to be foreman? 4-person, excuse
I'll
me.
do it. I will do it.
Great.
I second that.
Okay.
That's good.
So, do you want me to just ask the first question and we take a vote and see where we go from there? Or
Perfect.
is there something you want to discuss ahead of time?
Let's
So the
take a
first
vote.
question is, do you think Walgreens was negligent? Discussion.
Sure.
No.
Just to raise our hands, or how would you like to?
Well, I think we should have some discussion, and usually whoever's talking will show up in a yellow box so you can find them on the Zoom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Number 13.
Yes. I do find Walgreens negligent. I got a lot from Carl Fieldman's testimony. He visited the site. He examined the manual. There was a lot of, there were, in his opinion, which was well backed up by his degree and years of experience, the floor proved to have dangerous conditions. The slip was corroborated by Miss Mulligan's statement. She was acting with care. I think this was the key thing that really set it forward for me. She felt the sensation of slipping, and you remember the triggering event. So that sensation is really what she felt, the sensation in her foot. And Walgreens didn't comply with EHFs. Were the aisles free of trash and debris? And this is something that I found actually it kind of came up in the closing statement of the defense, actually. He was talking about the debris coming from a different area predating the accident. Well, why was there debris predating the accident? There shouldn't be debris on the floor, period, especially from a different day. Again, why was there one person at the front on the day before Thanksgiving? They're clearly understaffed. The day before Thanksgiving, when they know it's going to be a boom, I think for me, all the factors are pointing to negligency.
Number 38, you have a comment?
I don't think that Walgreens was negligent at all. Didn't appear she slipped. It appears she tripped over her own feet, if you will. I thought it was pretty cut and dry.
Number 33, comment?
My impression from the video over and over again was that she definitely slipped.
On what?
May I finish my statement, sir?
You're right.
In terms of negligence, it's a matter of implementing their policy of having enough people. One person to run the area was not enough. Particularly, they said that it was a very busy day. I think we're only talking about negligence here. The company was required to provide personnel with time to police their area, and there simply wasn't that time. Now, I think we're going to get on to whether or not she slipped or she didn't slip. But right now, the floor was dirty to some degree, and it was more dirty than Walgreens should have had it. That's all I have to say.
Number 15.
I do not think Walgreens was negligent. I think in terms of having enough personnel, their cashier did have time to go sweep. So there was clearly time for her to sweep. And the fact that she chose to sweep behind another register where debris wouldn't have been harming anyone walking through the store instead of sweeping the aisles may have been a result of not seeing any debris in the aisles. I think if you saw I agreed with the defense that if you saw an 8-inch pile of dirt, why would you go sweep an area where customers aren't even walking? I also think that just totally lost my train of thought. I think that the video shows in both the stills of it and watching it, I did not see a slip. I saw a trip, which is a different thing. And I saw a trip as a result of stepping wrong. I did not see Miss Mulligan's foot slide at all in any of the times that we were watching that video or seeing the stills of it. So I do not think Walgreens was negligent in this instance.
Number 22.
I don't think Walgreens was negligent either. They referred to an 8-inch pile of dirt. We didn't see any of that. The only time we saw that was when it was in the dustpan, and I think maybe the plaintiff thought that's all came up from the floor when it did not. So I think her bad knee was a big problem for her.
Okay, number 19, you have a comment?
Well, I think there's a lot of supposition about the dustpan and what was in it and what wasn't in it, because you really couldn't see. And, we're relying on a piece of evidence that, yeah, it is a tape, it does show things, but the clarity of it was not very good. If the cashier, and remember when she testified, she said she was a goody two-shoes. She wants to make herself look good. And, she's talking about how much she had cleaned and whatever, and maybe she had, but she still went and swept and was clearly sweeping up something. And the contention that, she went, well, where the fall was not, rather, that didn't come out well, that, well, yeah, how do you sweep? You start at one end, and then she was working across, and clearly she was sweeping something. We couldn't see it. It makes it really hard to say, with all this traffic and everything going on and the poor cashier running around all over the place, that she was actually able to do a good job.
Okay,
Again,
hold on, number 13. I'm waiting to see if anyone else have a comment before 13. Okay, 13, or no, number 9. Number 9. Can you speak up?
Can you hear me?
Barely.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me now?
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't believe that Walgreens was negligent. The standard that we were supposed to use is more likely than not. Based on all the witnesses and the video, I don't think the plaintiffs came close to meeting the more likely than not bar that's set for this. I too, like a previous juror, saw her ankle turn and trip versus a slide, which is what you would see if you had debris on the floor. I thought that the video was pretty clear on that. And there was absolutely no sign of something large enough on the floor or anything for that matter that would cause your ankle to turn. So based on all the witnesses, based on the video evidence, I did not find them meeting the burden of proof of more likely than not.
Okay, thank you for your input. Number 13.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm a little overzealous. I want to piggyback on number 19. Is that correct? What she said. We're all basing this on a grainy video, and that even goes that's kind of symbolic on whether it was an 8-inch pile or of debris or 8 millimeters. There was something in the aisle that she slipped on, and it wasn't clear. It wasn't cleaned up. It was the day before Thanksgiving. They were understaffed. They knew that the aisles were going to be a mess, and they hadn't planned for that. Clearly, they hadn't staffed for that. They hadn't warned their staff for that. And then Cynthia Jackson contradicted her deposition. She said, she initially said she didn't see, she couldn't see the slip, but she said she witnessed, first she said she couldn't see her, or no, I'm sorry. I'm going through my notes. It's a lot of scribble. First, when she testified today, she said she couldn't see her slip, but in the deposition, she said she witnessed her slip. So now it's like, what is she saying? So then when she's saying she feels that she did her job and she didn't do anything wrong and she was well trained by leadership, I mean, that's pure speculation. And then she said, well, she saw the tail end of the trip and fall, and it was toward the completion of the event, and it was a little bit of glitter or dust, but it wasn't anything that anyone would trip over. Again, that's speculation. There shouldn't be any glitter or dust. It could, some glitter or dust that that I could easily hop over might be something that is gonna cause a slip and fall for someone else and needs to be removed and needs more than one person at the register the day before Thanksgiving. I believe Walgreens is negligent.
To clarify, if I'm correct, and you can all tell me if I'm remembering correctly, what she said was she wrote in the deposition what the customer said she slipped.
No, that was in the incident report. In the incident report, she wrote to reflect what the customer told her, which was the customer, as the customer to the register, as the customer went to her register, her foot slipped and she fell. She said she was okay, but she hurt a little. And that was to reflect what the customer told her.
Yeah, but that beginning of that, the customer said she slipped. Okay. Number 26, comment?
Yeah, so I think Walgreens was negligent just because, well, I mean, especially because the defendant failed to, or just their evidence was really weak. You know, we're basing it on the video, and that's what the attorney kept saying. Look at the video doesn't lie. I get it, but the video wasn't even 720p. You know, it was a really poor quality video. And as far as I know, I mean, slides go back and forth, right? But our feet can go left and right.
Yep.
You know, it's not just like go either way, right? I think that's the way our ankle works. So it could have been a movement where it went inwards. It could have been outwards. It's not just two motions, right?
Yep.
That, we can't see the debris in the dustpan. No one can see debris in the dustpan. It's impossible. That black spot wasn't there from the beginning. It could have been a stick. It could have been anything, right? So their evidence was really poor. They kept contradicting what they were saying.
Do you think the evidence of the plaintiff was stronger?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Okay.
I think, I'm sorry.
Number 33, you had your hand up.
I just wanted to briefly comment on a couple of folks that mentioned whatever was wrong with her knee. I found it interesting that that was barely mentioned by the plaintiff. I think somebody said something about she had some surgery on her knee or whatever. But if that was a real factor, I would have thought the defense would have said more about it. They didn't seem, neither side seemed to be making an issue out of it. I take that to mean that neither side wanted to go there. So when we are considering balancing things, I don't think that should be much of a factor either way. That's all.
Are you number 27?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna get off topic really quick. Are we back to 9 of us have to agree out of the 12 since we're back to 12 jurors?
Yeah, I
We're
think
only-
We're eight. We're eight, I believe.
You are back
Well,
to
no.
12. You are back to 12 jurors, and so yes, the decision rule would
I'm
be
sorry.
9 out of 12.
I did not
Will be
realize
9
that.
I didn't realize that either.
Okay. Is there further comment, or would you like to take one first vote to see where we are?
Take a vote.
Yeah, why don't we take a vote?
Take a vote.
Okay. I can see everybody's hands. I'd rather do that than push a button on the screen. So if you think Walgreens was negligent, raise your hand. I'm counting 27, 26, 19, 13, and 33. So that is 4, which means there's 1, 2,
5. 5
Okay,
of us.
how many do not think Walgreens was negligent? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that would mean that we believe Walgreens was negligent because we don't have 9 people saying they weren't. We don't have 9 people saying either way.
So it
Well,
would be
read the
9 saying
instructions
that they
again. I
are
can't remember
negligent.
exactly what the instructions said.
You need 9 to vote for either yes or no.
Yeah. Either way, you need 9. A
So
majority.
we need 9 people one way or the other.
So what does
And
that
we
mean?
had 8. We had 8 and 4.
It was 7 and 5.
Yeah, 7 and 5.
7 and 5. Okay. So
That's a vote.
Yeah,
that's a vote, but nothing's
May-
decided.
May I?
Well, yes, it is. Read your read the jury sheet.
I don't have any instructions. I have the same thing that you all heard.
We should pull up the form, I think.
Would you
Yes,
like to
this
see
was-
the instructions?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
please.
Okay, Sarah, can we see the instructions?
Yes, Juror 21, I believe that our trial technician Ted Brooks is available to bring up the jury instructions and to bring them online. So I've asked Ted Brooks to unmute himself in case he needs to communicate with me, but I'm requesting that Ted Brooks bring up the jury instructions so that you can view them together.
Thank you.
Mr. Brooks, are you able to do that? Terrific. All right, so please direct Mr. Brooks to move to the portion of the jury instructions that you particularly want to review. Thank you.
Well, I thought it was in the questions.
It was
We
in
want-
the
wanted the other
verdict
form.
form.
You want to see the verdict form?
Verdict form, yes.
My apologies, Mr. Brooks. Can you please bring up the verdict form for the jury? Thank you.
Okay. Can he highlight? There we go. Thank you. Please respond in the order they're presented. 9 jurors must agree on the answer.
So if 9 people say that Walgreens was not negligent,
We would be done.
we would be done. And we've
Or
got
9
8,
said that,
and
Right.
we have
But if
8
not-
people. We have 8 people saying
We had 7.
We had 7 and 5.
7. I'm sorry, 7. 7. Okay.
So we've got to further deliberate, correct?
Correct.
Now I'm really confused.
Well,
Didn't we?
we don't have
have-
9 people saying yes. We don't have 9 people saying no.
No,
Thank
that's not,
He said-
that's not it. If you don't have 9, either yes or no, then you've made a decision. You have to have 9. We didn't come up with it asking if Walgreens was negligent. Therefore, we're saying Walgreens, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. We had,
It says at least 9 jurors must agree on the answer to the
9,
question.
yeah, 9
One
need
of
to
those
decide.
needs a 9, and we don't have 9 on either one.
Exactly. Thank you.
We have 7 in no. We are closer on no than we are.
On yes, correct.
I'm unmuted.
Can we go back to the seeing each other screen and talk?
Yeah. Sarah, can you put us back where we can all see each other? Please.
I believe you should all be able to see each other. It's a question of the view that you're in. So if you're in gallery view, you should all be able to see each other.
Yeah, but when that form is up there,
I see. Gotcha. All right. Yes, when the screen sharing is up there, I believe that the screen sharing has to be removed. So has the screen sharing been turned off?
yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Okay,
Mr. Brooks.
Number 33, you have a question, comment?
Yeah, I'm struggling too, but I want to try in my head to distill this to a real simple kind of thing. I'm really trying to do that. If you believe that Ms. Mulligan slipped or tripped over something, then that something was a hazard.
There you go.
And let me finish, guys. I'm sorry, I speak slowly.
No.
If it was a hazard, Walgreens clearly has a responsibility for cleaning it up. And for some reason, they didn't. I think it personally because they didn't have enough people working that day and they should have. They were trying to save money. However, if you believe that she didn't trip over something or be caused to slip by something, then why did she do it? It's not because she had a bad knee. There's virtually no evidence one way or the other to that. So we have to answer, well, if there was nothing there, if there was glitter, personally I can see glitter and dust causing your foot to slide some direction, and she kind of fell forward and she hurt herself. And so that's all I have to say. It seems kind of simple to me. There was something there that she fell on. Somebody convinced me that she just kind of slipped for no particular reason.
Number 15?
I think it's a dangerous road to go down to say that people only slip or trip over things. People trip over their own feet all the time. So to say that there must have been something there because she fell is not considering that she could have slipped over her own feet. She was going straight and she pivoted to go around the other person at the cashier. So she crossed her feet and stepped sideways, which could cause her, if she tripped over something, it could have been her own foot. Just because she tripped doesn't mean there was something on the floor that she tripped on. And I didn't see anything in the video. I think her saying it was an 8-inch pile of debris. I know the video is bad quality, but an 8-inch pile of debris.
Didn't say that.
She did, actually. Miss Mulligan said the pile was 8 inches. She measured it out with her hands in her testimony. So even if you couldn't see that in the video, someone would have seen that pile besides her, and she didn't see it on the floor. She saw it in the dustpan, is where she saw that much debris, which was established by the defense that the dustpan had been filled from prior sweepings because floors get dirty at stores. And obviously that debris had been swept into a dustbin and it hadn't been emptied yet.
Number 9, you had your hand up earlier. Do you still have a comment?
I just concur that people trip over their own feet all of the time. It's a very common occurrence, and it looked very much to me like her ankle just gave out and turned, and we didn't see it near anything of a size that would make her do that. And I think it's very common for people to slip for no reason.
Number 13.
But Cynthia Jackson confirmed in her testimony today. She said, yeah, there was a little bit of glitter or dust. So, I mean, she said that in her testimony today. So there was something on the floor. Whether...
Exactly.
And it doesn't take a lot.
It doesn't take a lot to trip over
Really?
it, because I wouldn't
Well,
trip. Doesn't mean that, thank you. Doesn't mean that someone else wouldn't trip over it. And the fact that, I'm sorry, what was his name? Paul Sanders said that it was you know, their things were on their safety and cleaning standards were on an as needed factor, an as needed basis. Well, they were needed and they weren't being sustained and they weren't being done, especially the day before Thanksgiving when there's Christmas decorations and there's food being grabbed and the aisles are going to be crazy and run amok with people. So they were needed and they weren't being tended to.
Did anyone, am I the only one who wondered if the Cynthia Jackson, when she went to sweep behind the other counter, she walked over that exact aisle, nothing happened to her, and she didn't see that it looked like she needed to sweep that area, because I think she would have if she had thought that that was dirty. She didn't, and she's working there all the time. She would notice if there was glitter because she would be looking for it, and she didn't. And then she went back to her station when she asked when the man went to that register and she said, no, come over here, and she walked around. So I'm thinking she was taking the time to clean, and she didn't think it was necessary to be cleaning there because she didn't even see anything to sweep. Number 26.
I think 22 has been having his hand up, so I'll go after him.
I'm sorry. Number 22. I missed you. I'm sorry.
Oh, first of all, an 8-inch pile of dirt is like a letter size of paper going this way. So we didn't see that at all. And the other thing, people talk about being understaffed. The service looked like it was pretty good, and we don't know how many people were in, how many employees were in the store at that time. We don't know if it's understaffed or not. That point was never made. So, and there was mention about the knee. Well, an ACL and a meniscus make a knee very weak and very painful to step on. So that's my point.
I'm sorry, but that was not presented as evidence. That's your opinion.
I don't know how many of you can see what's showing up at the screen at the bottom. Maybe, I don't know if it's because I'm jury foreman, but Sarah just reminded us that this is about the process of online jury duty, and we're not supposed to worry too much about that.
So let me just break in and say
That's not correct,
that's
though.
communication with the viewers, not with the jurors. So please continue your deliberations, and you're doing a
sorry.
great job. That's okay.
Okay.
We request that the jurors not use the chat. The viewers are using chat to have discussions relevant to the project. But for your sake as a jury, you should just be focusing on your deliberations with each other. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Number 19.
I think that the pile of dirt, the 8 inches it wasn't 8 inches, it was 8 inches.
She did this in her testimony.
I know she did, but I think
She said 8 inches high in her testimony. She didn't say 8 inches across.
That's true.
I mean, it's just the whole 8-inch thing, I think, is totally off the wall.
Yeah, I think
I'm just not sure that has any basis in reality.
Well, I think it makes her an
If you
unreliable.
look at it the other way, I think the cashier said an 8-inch area.
She
if I'm
didn't.
not mistaken.
The only one who said 8 inches was Cynthia, or was
No, it's Miss Mulligan.
Mulligan. Yeah.
Cynthia, right.
Okay. Juror 26, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I think it's maybe the word negligent is also like a strong word, because it's pretty evident that Cynthia, right, the employee,
Yes.
she's a good employee. I have no doubt about that, right? That's not the question here. 8 inches of dust, of debris, that's impossible to see in the video, right? No one can see debris in the video, period. You can't see debris in my window. You can't see, you just can't see it. So that's not an argument. Just because someone walks over something and doesn't slip, it doesn't mean that no one else can, right? Also, where was I going? The negligent part, it just sucks. It just happened, right? We're not blaming the employee. It was just mishap, right? It was an accident, and that's what it was. She slid, her foot slid and said, yeah, there was someone there. Maybe she was trying to pivot, but I mean, there was many ways she could have pivoted to the side if she was trying to avoid the other customer. And yeah, the customer walked over the same area, and so did Cynthia. And the 8 inches of, I mean, we can't say 8 inches high, right? That's just a technicality, right? She said it accidentally. But even like 8 inches of debris spread out, it doesn't mean like 8 inches of just dirt, right? Like, no, it doesn't mean that. So I think it was the negligence. I guess it was just Walgreens' fault. Yeah, she tried to maintain the areas cleaned, but unfortunately, it just wasn't clean enough for Deborah not to slide.
Number 9.
Just under what the juror just said about, well, it was just an accident. That specifically speaks to not meeting the more likely than not standard. And just being an accident and nobody's clear fault does necessarily means based on the instructions, not negligent.
It was an accident that the dust was there, right? It was an unfortunate event. Sorry, wrong word. Again, technicality.
Yeah, and I guess, it's just whether we believe there's really evidence of that or not. So.
Number 13.
But piggybacking on number 26, I mean, I think everyone was getting caught up on the 8 inches, and just like the defense was getting caught up on their sole evidence being a grainy video that no one could see. It was confirmed by both Cynthia Jackson and Deborah Mulligan that there was some kind of dust there. So if there was something there and she slipped, it falls on the property owner, that it's their liability. So that falls on Walgreens as negligence.
Number 33.
I can go, but I know 15 wanted to talk, and she doesn't have her hand up right now. 15, would you like to go before me? You had your hand up.
I was just, I guess I'm confused because what we're being asked to determine if they were using reasonable care to prevent harm. And I would say that the employee sweeping in the video is an instance of using reasonable care to prevent. We're seeing employees of Walgreens using reasonable care to prevent harm. To say that there can be absolutely nothing on the floor or it's the property owner's fault is a really, really strict interpretation of their cleaning guidelines. And if that's what we need to do, that's fine. But that would be saying, like, if a customer dropped glitter off of something that they bought, then someone slipped before the employee had a chance to sweep it up, then that would still fall on Walgreens as that person's fault. I mean, to say that there can be nothing on the floor because if anyone trips over anything, no matter how much it is, means they would have to have employees watching every square inch of the floor to make sure nothing ever fell on it in the event that someone accidentally slipped. So I mean, whether or not there's stuff on the floor, I saw Walgreens taking reasonable care to keep their floors clean because I saw the employee sweeping in the video.
Okay. 33.
I do think that the 8 inches was determined to be in the dustpan, or a lot of dust was in the dustpan before the clerk swept the area where she fell. But it doesn't take 8 inches of dirt to fall over something. My feeling is that she swept up a bunch, it went into the dustpan. Later on, she swept. Clearly, she was sweeping the area where the woman fell, and that she added some more. So I don't think we should get hung up on that. Just because 8 inches was in the dustpan doesn't mean that there was nothing on the floor. Clearly, the lady was sweeping. There was dust on the floor. Or I think, personally, it was the glitter. The glitter and the dust made it slippery, and this lady slipped. And it should have been cleaned up because Walgreens promises to give you a clean store. End of story. I'm done.
So let's take a second vote. Are you ready for that? I don't know if anyone's changed their mind or not. How many believe that Walgreens was not negligent? Not negligent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many believe Walgreens was negligent? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're still at 7-5. They said we were going to have an hour. We have 7 minutes.
Okay, let me ask this. What it strikes me, and I think 15 made this point, and I think it rings true. How clean is clean? How much effort should they take? Okay. Obviously, the clerk thought that that area was dirty and it needed to be cleaned. Do we have any evidence that anything did any side, particularly Walgreens' side in this argument, say, well, we were cleaning earlier? Did anybody do anything that day? Why wasn't there a better argument from Walgreens that they had done everything that they could do? They didn't seem to provide, in my mind, any kind of defense of there being dirt there, and there was dirt there. They said, well, you know, there's a line in our 250-page policy operations manual that says, you know, it's everybody's responsibility to keep it clean. It was either dirty or it wasn't. It was dirty. And Walgreens didn't convince me that they had done much of anything to keep it clean. So I have to go on the side of the
I would have had store manager. I would have had earlier shift. If it were my case, right? Yeah, one witness.
I'm sorry, who's speaking? I can't tell.
I don't think it's a juror.
Oh, I don't think it was either. You're right.
Cross connection.
Is that Mr. Friedenthal?
Yes.
I believe somebody was speaking who should not have been speaking, so just ignore it and you can continue forward.
We were ignoring it.
In the opening statement that the plaintiff made, they went through that timeline of like the store was swept at 7, and then at 6, Cynthia Jackson went.
And then it wasn't for a whole 8 hours, is what I understood.
I don't know if that was what actually happened, but I do remember seeing that timeline that said that nothing had been done in between that time.
I knew I'd heard that someplace.
Yeah.
Number 13.
But it also seemed like, I mean, Cynthia Jackson confirmed that they don't have any, you know, like how bathrooms have a thing in a lot of stores and restaurants where the employees have to sign off, you know, they've checked them hourly and they've refilled the toilet paper rolls and things like that. She didn't have that. And then to me, it seemed like the lawyer was leading her, but you have signed off on monthly reports, right? On monthly cleaning reports that you've done, and you wouldn't lie. And then she all of a sudden, oh no, I'm a goody two shoes. And to me, after contradicting her deposition, I found that it wasn't so believable. And what were in those monthly cleaning reports? I mean, why don't they have a weekly thing? Why don't they have a daily one that they just sign off on, especially the day before Thanksgiving? I'm done.
Well, I think number 15's comment was spot
Number
on.
40.
I'm sorry, pardon me.
Number 40, you haven't made a comment. Do you wish to make a comment? You don't have to. I'm just asking if you wish to.
I mean, I'm just listening to everybody. I'm strongly believe that Walgreens is not negligent for this. Does not, given what 15 said, also going back to that, there's no really proofs of if there was any type of form of what, given the case of how you fall, just put yourself in that position, you know, just you be that person. So you're walking in the aisle, you don't know what's going, you don't know, you're obviously not looking at the floor, you're not paying attention, you're focused on what you're buying or what you want to buy. And how will you determine it was Walgreens' fault just because it was in Walgreens, just because it was in the property of Walgreens? So let's say, like 15 mentioned, what if a customer previous to that just bought glitter, or let's just say glitter, bought glitter and accidentally spilled it and the customer after that slips just for that previous customer's fault. So now we are entitled to sue Walgreens just because we fell in the property of Walgreens, but it wasn't. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's just like, how can you just sue Walgreens just because you fell on Walgreens, just because they're held accountable to just providing clean floors, but you don't even know what other customers may be doing. So if one customer buys anything that could become hazardous if it spills, how can you quickly clean that? And then the person next to the next customer comes and slips, or given whatever situation, how can you blame Walgreens for that? How could you? So that's just my intake on it.
Thank you. Number 24, you also have not made a comment. Do you wish to weigh in on this?
I just think Walgreens was not negligent because we didn't see much of the debris in the video, and it looks like a trip. I agree with the last person who spoke.
Okay, I just want to be sure everyone has an opportunity. 38, have you had a comment? Do you have a?
No, I still feel the way I felt in the beginning. I don't think they was negligent at all. I'm talking about Walgreens.
Is there anything that anyone needs to hear that would make them change their mind one way or the other?
So this is your technical bailiff, and I'm going to step in here as we have 30 minutes left to this event, and say that at this point, since it seems that you're unable to reach a verdict, we're going to ask you to stop at this point, and we're going to do some debriefing with you. And we also have a brief questionnaire that we're going to ask you to complete about your experiences. I want to thank you very much for your participation, and it was a terrific deliberation.